the third and final day of hearings for Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh, and man, the fireworks were aplenty. Senator Cory Booker said he had enough of Republicans holding back various documents related to Kavanaugh. And so what he did is he said, you know what, I'm just going to release them. Now, the deal is Judge Kavanaugh's court decisions, they are public, yet some of the documents, such as emails when he worked in the administration of President George W. Bush, as well as with Special Prosecutor Ken Starr, Republicans say those should be locked away. Booker said, you know what? I'm about tired of this nonsense. Some 42,000 documents were made available to the committee on the eve before the hearing started, like literally the night before. They only had about 15 hours to even review those documents. Booker said, enough is enough. He said, I'm releasing some of those documents, such as emails from Kavanaugh dealing with racial profiling, and he made it clear, you know what? I did it. What y'all gonna do?
I knowingly violated the rules that were put forth, and I'm told that the committee confidential rules have knowing consequences. And so, sir, I come from a long line, as all of us do as Americans, and understand what that kind of civil disobedience is, and I understand the consequences. So I am right now, before your process is finished, I'm going to release the email about racial profiling. And I understand that the penalty comes with potential ousting from the Senate. And if Senator Cornyn believes that I violated Senate rules, I openly invite and accept the consequences of my team releasing that email right now. And I'm releasing it to expose that, number one, the emails that are being withheld from the public have nothing to do with national security, nothing to jeopardize the sanctity of those ideals that I hold dear. Instead, what I'm releasing this document right now to show, sir, is that we have a process here for a person, the highest office in the land, for a lifetime appointment. We're rushing through this before me and my colleagues can even read and digest the information.
Can I ask you how long you're going to say the same thing 3 or 4 times?
No, sir.
How long do you want?
I'm saying I'm knowingly violating the rules.
Okay.
Senator Cornyn called me out for it.
How many times are you going to tell us,
sir? I'm saying right now that I'm releasing committee confidential documents.
Mr. Chairman.
Now, then Senator John Cornyn of Texas, he said that Booker was violating the Senate rules and that he could be kicked out of the Senate. And that's when Cory Booker said, okay, you want to try that? I'll own it. Let's go through that process. We also saw Senator Kamala Harris also tear apart Kavanaugh, forcing him to answer very specific questions. And for somebody who was very fluid, very cool under fire, he had lots of problems answering her questions. And I would say he's probably going to be kept up at night dreaming, more like a nightmare, of Senator Kamala Harris.
Judge, have you ever discussed Special Counsel Mueller or his investigation with anyone?
Well, it's in the news every day.
Have you discussed it with anyone?
With other judges, I know.
Have you discussed Mueller or his investigation with anyone at Kasowitz, Benson, and Torres, the law firm founded by Mark Kasowitz, President Trump's personal lawyer? Be sure about your answer, sir.
Well, I'm not remembering, but if you have something you want to...
Are you certain you've not had a conversation with anyone at that law firm?
Kasowitz, Benson.
Kasowitz, Benson, and Torres, which is the law firm founded by Mark Kasowitz, who is President Trump's personal lawyer. Have you had any conversation about Robert Mueller or his investigation with anyone at that firm? Yes or no?
Well, is there a person you're talking about?
I'm asking you a very direct question, yes or no?
I need to know I'm not sure I know everyone who works at that law firm.
I don't think you need to. I think you need to know who you talked with. Who'd you talk to?
I don't think I'm not remembering, but I'm happy to be refreshed, or if you want to tell me who you're thinking of who works.
Are you saying that with all that you remember, You have an impeccable memory. You've been speaking for almost 8 hours, I think more, with this committee about all sorts of things you remember. Yeah. How can you not remember whether or not you had a conversation about Robert Mueller or his investigation with anyone at that law firm? This investigation has only been going on for so long, sir. So
right, I'm not sure I'm just trying to think, do I know anyone who works at that firm? I might know.
That's not my question. My question is, have you had a conversation with anyone at that firm about that investigation? It's a really specific question.
I would like to know the person you're thinking of, because what if there's...
I think you're thinking of someone and you don't want to tell us. Who did you have a conversation with at that
I'm not going to...
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to raise an objection here. This town is full of law firms. Law firms are full of people.
First of all, I'd like you to pause the clock. Thank you.
The clock is paused.
Thank you.
Pause the clock. Let me raise my objection.
Recognized.
This town is full of law firms. Law firms are full of people. Law firms have a lot of names. There are a lot of people who work at a lot of law firms.
Responsibility to all Americans. Vote no. Be a hero. Vote no. You have a responsibility to all Americans. Be a hero and vote no.
And
be a hero and vote no. Be a hero and vote no. You have a responsibility to all Americans. Be a hero and vote no. Be a hero.
Sir, please answer the question.
I don't know everyone who works at that law firm, Senator.
And have you had any discussion with anyone ever about Bob Mueller and or his investigation?
So you said Bob Mueller, so have I ever had a discussion about Bob Mueller? I used to work in the administration with Bob Mueller.
What about his investigation? Have you had a conversation with anyone about his investigation?
I'm sure I've talked to fellow judges.
Anyone aside from fellow judges?
About Bob Mueller?
About his investigation, sir. I'll ask again. I asked the question just a minute ago. I'm surprised you forgot. Have you had this conversation with anyone about the investigation that Bob Mueller is conducting regarding Russia interference with our election or any other matter?
The fact that it's ongoing, it's a topic in the news every day. I talked to fellow judges about it. It's in our, it's in the courthouse in the District of Columbia. So I guess the answer to that is yes. So the answer is yes.
Okay. And did you talk with anyone at Kasowitz, Benson, and Torres?
You asked me that. I need to know who works there.
I think you can answer the question without me giving you a list of all employees of that law firm.
Well, actually, I can't.
Why not?
Because I don't know who works there.
So that's the only way you would know who you spoke with? I want to understand your response to my question, because it's a very direct one. Did you speak with anyone at that law firm about the Mueller investigation? It's a very direct question.
Right. I'd be surprised, but I don't know anyone. I don't know if I don't know everyone who works at that law firm. So I just want to be careful, because your question was and or. So I want to be very literal.
That's fine. I'll ask a more direct question if that's helpful. Speak with anyone at that law firm about Bob Mueller's investigation?
I'm not remembering anything like that, but I want to know a roster of people, and I want to know more.
So you're not denying that you spoke with
Well, I said I don't remember anything like that.
Okay. I'll move on. Okay. Clearly, you're not going to answer the question.
That's what we call doing the butt dance. I can't answer a question. The Howard University graduate was not done. Check this out when she asked him about racial spoils system.
Tell me what the term racial spoils system means to you.
Senator, first of all, the Supreme Court affirmed the position that I had articulated in the amicus brief 7-2 in Rice versus Cayetano, an opinion written by Justice Kennedy. Second of all, the state voting restriction at issue in Hawaii was a state office, not for the Native Hawaiian.
Judge, that's not what I asked you.
But
if you can define the term as you used it, what does it mean to you?
But I need to, you raised the case, and the state voting restriction in that case denied Hawaiians, residents of Hawaii, the ability to vote on the basis of their race. So if you were Latino or African American, you could not vote in the election.
And I heard your response to that earlier, and I appreciate the point that you made then. My question is, you used this term twice, and I'm asking, what does the term mean to you?
I'm not sure what I was referring to then, to be entirely frank.
And more butt dancing. This is him answering the question, dealing with Charlottesville. All right, so we have an issue with that video. I'm going to play that in just a second. I mean, that was pretty wild. Again, this is somebody, of course, who's supposed to be head to the Supreme Court, the highest court in the land, deciding all the major cases. And wasn't it interesting when it came to issues of race, he somehow could not answer any of those questions. The NAACP, they've been calling these hearings a sham. Joining us right now is Derrick Johnson. He is the CEO of the NAACP. Derrick, glad to have you at Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Thank you for having me, and congratulations.
Appreciate it, Doc. You've sat in these hearing rooms. You've seen him talk about precedent when it comes to Roe v. Wade, those decisions. But clearly, late yesterday and today, when he was challenged on issues of race, it's amazing how jittery he got and being unable to answer those questions.
You know, unfortunate, this is the first time in history we've seen this type of hearing. The majority in the Senate, they're refusing to release documents. Those documents are key to understand how he would rule on cases. The last thing we need is an activist Supreme Court justice. The NAACP 12 years ago, we opposed his nomination to the D.C. Circuit Court. We understood then what we know now, that his judicial temperament is not in the best interest of this nation and definitely not African Americans.
And again, when he couldn't even answer just very basic questions, and I don't recall what I was talking about when I wrote that, and then being jammed up on those issues. I mean, at the end of the day, let's just be honest, the Federalist Society, a far-right organization, the judges who they like are not likely to rule when it comes to issues involving race because they are upholding far different principles that really guided us for quite some time.
So the response is that he couldn't. The real answer is he wouldn't answer the questions. He have answers to those questions, but they wouldn't be consistent with a confirmation hearing in which he will actually be confirmed. That's why the Republicans are holding back the documents. So there's enough in those documents, I believe, to prove that he holds beliefs and he's made statements that's anti what we think a Supreme Court justice should be. I believe, personally, there's information in the documents the Republicans refuse to release that's both racist in terms of statements. I believe that his positions on voting rights, on education, on many of the civil rights issues that we've won over the last 65 years will all be of question. We've seen federal appointments by this administration who wouldn't support Brown versus Board of Education. I think Kavanaugh's record is much more egregious than that.
Look, he's expected to get some 53, 54 votes. And if that's the case, you're going to have a fifth person on the Supreme Court. First of all, do you believe the Democrats have been aggressive enough in challenging Kavanaugh and challenging Republicans when it comes to this nomination?
I think they've become aggressive, but they only got aggressive at the opening of the hearing. They should have been aggressive all along. We are looking at an unindicted co-conspirator of a foreign nation interfering with our election. That person happened to be occupying the White House. Kavanaugh wasn't even on the list until after he made statements that he felt that the president should be above the law. That's when he got on the list. That's how he got nominated. This hearing should not be taking place. Had the Democrats been more aggressive on the front end, we may not be looking at this issue. In NAACP, we have no permanent friends. We have no permanent enemies. We have a permanent interest. And our interest is founded in the fact that what's in the best interest of African Americans oftentimes is found in one of the three branches of government. And with the Supreme Court, that's a lifetime appointment. So we've sent out the message, if any member of the U.S. Senate, Republican or Democrat, betray us on this, it is our job to tell black folks don't vote for them.
All right. Derrick Johnson, NAACP, we appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.